Okay, we should be recording now. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Jai Baba, everybody. Welcome to another Monday night and maybe Monday morning anywhere else in the world. We are reading Surrendering to Him from page number 108. So, welcome all those are online and those will be joining in later. Thank you, Jai Baba. Diana, you can take it from here, darling. Thank you.
Okay. Another lesson for me came that summer at Guru Prasad when several of Baba's close ones were sitting with him, reminding me of a father talking to his children. Somehow the subject turned to a disagreement that Adi and I had just had with the relatives with whom we were staying in Pune. A misunderstanding had taken place between our uncle and the two of us, and our aunt had become very upset because she loved us very much and tried to do everything she could to make us comfortable. So she complained to Baba about her husband's behavior. Baba listened and then told us exactly how to handle the problem. Try to settle this situation amicably. Do it in such a way that you do not hurt the feelings of your aunt, and at the same time, do not hurt the feelings of your uncle. I am in every heart, and if you hurt the feelings of any person, you are hurting me.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm lost. Oh, you couldn't. And wait, I'm lost.
Let's see. Uh, it's in the middle of the paragraph.
You are hurting me. Okay. Baba explained this all casually, but then he turned directly to me and said, Rhoda, never hurt the feelings of anyone. With these last words, his direction became an order for me, and it was more difficult than the order not to eat chicken, which Baba had already given us. In fact, I have found throughout the rest of my life that this order has been one of the most difficult to keep. All of a sudden, I get angry with someone and words begin flying before I can think. This happened once between a very close friend and me in Mehrabad after we moved there from Karachi. Some problem occurred, and the woman and I ended up shouting angrily at one another. When I reached home, I began to think about how much I must have hurt this woman's feelings as I really loved her dearly. The next morning, we had to pick her up in our car as we were going somewhere together. As soon as she came out of her house, I stepped out of the car and held my arms open wide to greet her. Forgive me, I said. I was so rude and I hurt your feelings so badly. No, no, she answered. I've been thinking that you were right, but I kept insisting, even though I was wrong. We hugged one another, and that was the end of it. For maybe 15 years now, we have been so close, so loving with one another. Baba took away that anger from my heart, which otherwise would have stayed there and come up again and again. Never hurt the feelings of anyone. Short and simple. After the 1965 Darshan program was over, Baba's health started deteriorating, and he hardly left his room. At times, he would come into a side room and sit with us in the men mandali for a while. Otherwise, he would call the men into his room. As in other years, we were at Guru Prasad from around 8 o'clock in the morning until late afternoon. But this stay with Baba was one of the most intimate for Adi, Marwan, and me. During our previous trips to Guru Prasad, there had always been great activity, lots of people, music, and entertainment programs, and visits to people's homes. But all of this was absent in 1965. Most of the time, nobody was around except for the men Mandali and the three of us. Only occasionally in the mornings there were others. Many times Baba would call Adi or Merwan to read the paper to him or to massage his legs. In late June, Adi had to leave because of his business, but Merwan and I stayed on until the 1st of July, when Baba left for Mehrabad. On the day Adi was departing, he was standing in the corridor outside Baba's room. Baba came out of the room in a wheelchair and told Adi, "I've come out of my room so that you may push me into the side room instead of taking my usual route from the inside." On the 1st of July, 1965, Baba left Guru Prasad for Marazad with his Mandali, and Merwin and I, along with many other Baba lovers, were there very early in the morning to see him off. When we arrived at Guru Prasad, Baba was already in the hall, and we all waited outside in the corridor. Baba asked each of us to come in and bow down to him. And then we again waited in the corridor. When it was time to leave, Baba was wheeled out into the corridor. The wheelchair was picked up and carried to the car waiting at the steps. Baba was helped into the car, where he sat with the door open, waiting with Erich by his side. Baba was deep in thought, and whenever he would ask for somebody, Erich would call out the name, and that person would run up to the car. All of a sudden, my name was called out. I ran and stood next to the car. With Baba sitting on the seat, we were eye to eye. Baba said, "Today is your wedding anniversary day, isn't it?" "Yes, Baba," I answered. "Have you sent a cable to Adi?" "Yes, Baba." "What did you say?" After I told Baba, his fingers started moving, and he looked straight into my eyes and said, "Hold fast to my daman to the very end." While the beloved was giving me this very important message, I was thinking I'd never noticed before that Baba's eyes were blue. Although Baba's eyes were brown, at that moment they appeared to me to be blue. Baba kept me there for a minute or two and then asked me to go. I returned to the balcony and waited for him to leave. As Baba's car started to pull away, we all stood there waving and shouting, "Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai," until we could no longer see the car. All of us now needed to leave. People started saying goodbye to one another, laughing and hugging, but I just left the crowd and ran
Thank you.
into Baba's room, which was open. There on the bed was the impression of his body, and it was still warm. I threw my head onto the bed and cried. Tears don't come easily to me, but that day I cried hard. A premonition maybe that this was the last time I would see Baba. But whatever it was, I stayed a few minutes in the room. Then we all left. And as it turned out, this was indeed the last time I was to be in the living presence of the Divine Beloved.
Thank you so much, Diana. Betty, would you like to read from here? Thank you.
On 31st January 1969, Meher Baba dropped his body. The news reached us early in the morning on 1st February. Adi's dad, who heard it on the radio, came down to inform us. But as we were still fast asleep, he just sat and waited. Soon, however, Minu Karas, who lived just across from us, came rushing in and barged into our bedroom saying, "Adi, wake up! Adi Arjani just phoned up from Lahore saying that he heard on the news that Meher Baba has dropped his body." Adi just turned his back and told Minu it was probably some other Baba and started to go back to sleep. But Adi Arjani said it was on the radio. Still no response from Adi, but somehow I felt it must be true. Minu told us he would go back to his house and would contact Bombay to find out, because it would be very difficult to get through to Ahmednagar. I shook Adi and said, listen, they have heard it on the radio, so it has to be true. Finally, the news started to sink in, and Adi and I both got up and went straight to Baba's photo, bowing down before quickly dressing and going across to Minu's house. Minu had phoned up Arnabaz and Nariman Dadachanji, and the phone was finally answered by a servant who told him that Arnabaz and Nariman had gone to Ahmednagar for Meherbaba's funeral that day. Then we knew the news was absolutely true. We informed all the Baba people in Karachi, and soon everyone had gathered at Minu's house. I'm so emotional. There was deep sorrow and pain in everybody's eyes. Nobody could speak. Together we recited the Master's Prayer and the Arti, by which time a cable arrived from Adi Sr. in Ahmednagar confirming this momentous event. The cable said that Baba's body was to be interred the following day. When the cable arrived, it was already too late for us to reach Ahmednagar in time for the funeral. But the next morning, Adi and I went to the Indian embassy to ask if they could give visas in a few hours. The Indian official said they had read the news in the paper and they would give us the visas. They told us to come back as soon as we knew exactly when we wanted to go, and they would take care of everything. In the meantime, that night we were able to reach Ahmednagar by phone and were informed that Baba's body was still lying in the crypt and had not yet been buried. It hadn't yet been decided on which day beloved Baba's form would be interred, but doctors were watching and would make the decision. People from all over the world were coming, basing their plans on this information. Realizing that Baba's body might be buried at any moment, we decided not to go because we might not arrive in time. Also, a few months earlier, Baba had sent us information that he was going to give darshan in April. If we went now, we might not be able to get another visa to return in April. And whether Baba was there in the body or not, we wanted to honor his invitation. When we later heard that the interment did not take place until 7th February, we regretted our decision not to go, but at least we had the April darshan to look forward to. The great darshan that took place in April was one of the most wonderful ever. People came not only from Pakistan and India, but from all over the world to be welcomed by Baba's Mandali. Before Baba dropped his body, he had sent out an invitation to his lovers everywhere to come to Guru Prasad. The program, which took place over a period of 3 months, had been set by Baba, each group having been given a particular date and time to be present. When he had asked the Mandali to send the circular announcing this program, they had told Baba that he was in no condition for such a strenuous darshan, that he wouldn't be able to sit for such a long periods of time. But Baba's response was, if at that time I am not able to sit, I'll give darshan reclining. And that was the end of the matter. After Baba dropped his body, the resident Mandalis sent out a circular that they would be going to Guru Prasad for the 3 months that Baba had scheduled for the darshan. And all of those who wanted to honor Baba's invitation would be welcome. Adi and I had again been invited to work as volunteers, so we went in time for the first darshan program in April for the Western group coming from America by chartered planes. They arrived at Guru Prasad, each one filled with love for Baba. For the program, the Mandali placed a chair that Baba had always used in the front of the hall, on which a large photograph of Baba was placed. Those who came took darshan in their own individual ways. Some were filled with joy, others broke down in tears, but all of them felt Baba's presence vividly. Each group had been asked to entertain Baba, so all presented beautiful programs of stories, songs, and dances. It was just as though he were physically present. The Pakistani group was scheduled for a week in May, and so we also sat in front of Baba's chair and entertained him with stories and songs, and even played a game of La Risque, which we tried to do exactly as he had played it. This game brought a lot of laughter and loving memories. I sang a song that Baba had enjoyed hearing me sing before, the traditional Christmas carol, "O Come, All Ye Faithful," with a slight variation here and there. On one day, each group had been scheduled to go by bus to Mehrabad to Baba's Samadhi, returning to their hotels in Pune later on the same day. And so it went. For weeks and weeks, different groups coming and honoring the Lord's invitation before going home, with more love in their hearts for him than ever before.
Thank you, Betty. Several years later, after Adi retired, we decided to leave Pakistan and move to Mehrabad, where we might serve Baba more fully. We live in a house on land adjoining Lower Mehrabad and have taken on a number of duties. I worked in the trust office with money and average for many years until I developed macular degeneration, losing the sight in one eye and the other weakening to the point that I was no longer able to read or write. My hearing had also deteriorated to the extent that it was not possible for me to follow normal conversations. Prakashji, will you read from here? At first, I was very angry with Baba. Okay, I don't know if he's there. Prakashji, are you there?
Oh, I was reading with the microphone
Yeah,
muted. Okay.
yeah, you can read from here. Thank you.
At first, I was very angry with Baba. How could you do this to me? I asked. We left all our home, everything to come here and serve you. And now you take away my vision. I received no answers to these questions. And every day I stood by Baba's photo or at the Samadhi waiting for an answer. But none came. Then I started bypassing the picture of Baba at home. Then I started bypassing the picture of Baba at home, where I always stood to talk to him, though I was still going regularly to the Samadhi. I was bypassing him there too. This went on for weeks, even months, but no answer came to me, and I was terribly unhappy. In my miserable state, I talked with Arnavas and Dr. Gohar about my situation. Arnavas told me it is Baba's way of drawing you closer to him, but I somehow could not accept that idea, and I continued my stupid behavior. Then one day, when I thought I simply could not bear the pain any longer, as I was bypassing Baba's photograph, I stopped and looked up at him, and suddenly I heard a voice. But I'm here. I looked more closely at Baba. Was it possible that he was telling me that? As I stood there, as I stood there looking up, the voice came again, but I'm here. I burst out crying. Forgive me, Baba. Forgive me for being such a fool. Tears rolled down my cheeks and joy flooded my heart. There's a photograph here. Baba with Women Mandali at Guru Prasad, Pune, 1960s. You have to move the page.
It's Rhoda with.
Rhoda with Women Mandali at Guru Prasad, Pune, 1960s.
Yeah.
Betty, you may have to move the page, 120. Then, okay. The next time I was at Meherazad, I told Arnavaz about this incident. She smiled. The next time you come to Meherazad, I want you to find me. I'll get Gohar and you can tell us once again. And the next time I went to Meherazad, both Arnavaz and Gohar were waiting for me. Arnavaz said, listen to me, Rhoda. One day, a long time ago, Mehra, Mani, Gohar and I were with Baba in his room. And suddenly Baba turned to Mehra and said, hold fast my daman with both hands. Mind you, Rhoda, Mehra, mind you, Rhoda and Mehra was closest to Baba. Then he turned to Mani and repeated his words, adding to the very end. Then to Gohar, hold fast to my daman till the very end. The memory of these words, the last that Baba said to me in Guru Prasad in 1965, came back instantly. But my first reaction was anger. Arnavas, you knew how I was suffering for all these months. Why didn't you tell me this? Arnavas answered with the wisdom the Mandali imbibed from all their years with Baba. This is something, Rhoda, that nobody else could help you with. Coming to understand that whatever Baba tells us has real meaning is something you had to find out yourself. Tears came to my eyes. I said, yes, like a fool, I ignored him for many months, but now I am back on my feet and I'll never question his ways again. Once again, as I had in the past, as I would have to do over again in the future, I found myself surrendering completely to his will. And here is a picture of Rhoda and Adi, I think. Adi and Rhoda, Mehrabad, 1993. Cheba.
And that will end the book reading. So should I stop the recording here?
I think so.
Think so too.